Guam had become a territory of the United States in 1899 after the Spanish-American War. And so we had been kind of the colonizers for Guam for about 10 years after the Spanish had been leading Guam for a number of years. But as we came in, there was a move to begin moving from subsistence agriculture, which farmers raise enough for their families and the people in that area, to more production agriculture. And there was concerns that Guam was becoming dependent upon imports of foodstuffs to maintain the population. And so agriculture experiment stations began to expand as the United States had expanded its territory into the Pacific. And so that's why it was established in Guam in 1908. So I think initially they just accepted it. It wasn't anything they had requested. And the United States is the new colonizer in the area, and they just assumed, well, this is something they were doing. I don't believe that they thought it was going to impact them that much. It was just another attempt by a colonizing country to do something on their land, on their island. I think the initial incentive for the United States was a positive thing, but the experiment station really did not interact with the people of Guam that much. It was a little isolated facility where they were doing experiments, trying out different crops, but I don't really think it impacted the people of Guam initially very much because it was kind of an island unto itself on the island. It's not until later that it has an impact. And in 1918, it was a major typhoon hits Guam. Many of the people who lived on the coast near the agriculture experiment station, the experiment station opened its doors and let people move up in there and protected them during the hurricane. After the hurricane, now there were efforts to try to restore the island. I mean, most of the tree crops like bananas and coconut trees, most of them have been destroyed. And so there's a real effort then to rebuild the agricultural infrastructure of the island. And that's where we really begin to make an impact. With William Green working as an extension agent, Briggs working as the research element, really have a mission now to help the island, and the people, I think, begin to see the impact that the research station can have on their lives. And so it really was a disaster that turned into an opportunity for a better exchange of ideas. Working relationships with the local population were improved, and also working relationships with the naval authorities who were in charge of the island. An example of an impact that the agricultural experiment station in Guam had on the local population would be the improvement of goats. There were native goats that had been brought in through the years from a variety of different places into Guam. And so they had a goat population on Guam, mostly for meat production. Initially, they tried to substitute the native goats for the improved goats, but the improved goats didn't have the resistance to some of the infectious diseases on Guam and other challenges with the tropical climate. So eventually they realized that if they crossbred both the native varieties and these improved varieties, they would get a goat that was not quite as maybe productive as the improved variety, but more resistant as the native varieties. And so these goats now were a better quality goat. And so that initiated other processes of crossbreeding with other animals, but I think initially goats was the main impact that it had on the population of Guam. The article in State Magazine is Aggies in the South Pacific, but it really talks about the initial efforts of graduates from Oklahoma Agricultural Mechanical College to share what they've learned through the land grant mission to other parts of the world. And these are the first ambassadors we have that go actually to South America initially, and then the Pacific to assist in agricultural production and research in the rest of the world. The three gentlemen who led those efforts in Guam, but also the impact of those efforts on students who then came from those regions back to attend Oklahoma Agricultural Mechanical College.